But what happens when you stand in your authenticity and you believe in yourself and you love yourself, your frequency, your light is going to increase. So the people that are operating under fear, manipulation, control, they won't be able to handle that. It's like sticking your finger in a light socket.
Welcome to the Eating is a Lifestyle podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Brenda Huckel, and she is the founder of Awakening the Consciousness Within. And she is the author of Courageously Authentic, which is her new book she's going to tell us about. She's got over 30 years of experience in human development and a powerful personal journey that she's going to share with us of her transformation. Brenda helps women over 40 break free from inherited beliefs, reclaim their worth, and live courageously aligned with their truth. She was recently inducted into Marquis Who's Who, featured in New Literary Society magazine, and is a proud member of the Worldwide Women's Association. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited to talk with you one on one for however long we have today because I feel like these concepts are weigh heavily on our hearts and on our souls, and we don't talk about this. I feel like our society is starting to address women's issues, but it's really sounding a lot more like hormones and doctors
Mm.
and not really yet addressing these important concepts that you help us unpack. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
So just so we can all start off on the same page, can you tell us about your book and what motivated you to write it?
Sure. So Courageously Authentic, when I was writing it, I wrote it from a place of service to women across the globe because that was important to me. And I didn't want it to be viewed as another self-help book. It's not another self-help book. It's a return. And what I do is I take the reader on a very sacred transformational journey back to who they were before the world told them who to be.
Oh.
So I've read my full share of self-help books, and a lot of them many of them are filled with strategies or quick tips to improve yourself, which implies that there's something wrong with them, that they're broken. Courageously Authentic doesn't look at it as you're broken. What it does, it looks at it as I honor where you are in your wisdom and your strength that's already within you, and I pull that back out. So in my book,
Mm.
I was very mindful of how I set the book up. And after 30 years of coaching women, I addressed everything from why we fight change so hard, why we're so afraid of it, to our belief systems, which is such an important concept, and how it affects our health, affects how we eat, it affects everything emotional, physical, and spiritual. That I give that chapter away free on my website, and I take them all the way through imposter syndrome, through every to the end where they actually return to their truth and they're aligned with Christ consciousness. So I've been getting a lot of feedback from women who's already purchased the book, and it's very heartwarming. And they say that it feels like I'm talking directly to them, and they can really
Mm.
relate to the concepts because it's not a bunch of rules. Women don't need more rules. What they need is a safe space to just reflect and be who they are and really feel what they're feeling. So it's heartwarming to get the feedback that I'm receiving so far. You asked me what motivated me.
Yes.
I lost my sister at age 46 to alcoholism, and she
Mm.
left a beautiful daughter behind, 11 years old, with no father. And I spent thousands of dollars trying to help her. And the more I tried to help her, the more she resented me, and I didn't understand why at the time. And it was the day of I buried her. I was standing at the cemetery, and it hit me. The alcohol wasn't the cause of her death, it was the symptom. The cause was her inherited belief that she wasn't worthy, that she
Mhm.
wasn't enough. So the more I tried to help her, the more I was reinforcing yet another belief that she was doing something else wrong. And that guilt stayed with me for a long time. And so after watching women in survivor mode, riddled with fear and self doubt and low self esteem and imposter syndrome, I walked away from my executive job at 55. People thought I was going crazy, that I was going through the change. But I just knew I was meant to write this book because my sister's story of her feeling so unworthy is the story of women across the globe. And
Mm.
so I left a lot of money on the table, walked away with nothing. I worked off a massage table for 2 years writing, and I published my book. And my goal is to reach the hearts and minds of women across the globe. And if I can just impact one woman, for her to have the inspiration to return to her truth, then all the tears and frustrations and money was worth it. I'm passionate about it.
Yes, you are. You can hear it. And, I know that your sister knows that you've learned from what happened and that your messages are going to help so many more women.
Yes,
So, in that, there's our silver lining.
there's our silver lining.
Um, yeah, that was something that then when I was reading the article, it was like a lot of these beliefs from from childhood that impact who we are today without us even understanding that, without us even knowing. Um, and I've had the wonderful opportunity of getting to live with my parents again at the age of 47.
Wow.
And so the most interesting part is getting to see how they are as an adult. Instead of looking at them as a child, I'm listening to them and watching them as an adult. And so many things are coming out
Yep.
that it's like, oh, okay, now this is making sense now. And so now that I can view this as an adult, it makes sense why I think that people are going to jump out off the sidewalk in front of my car when I'm driving. Like that's not a normal thing to think of. But then I was driving with my mom and she goes, "Oh, I hope that guy doesn't jump out in front of me." And I went, "Oh my gosh. That's why I think that that might happen because I'm pretty sure that most people don't think that's going to happen."
Right.
But that is a really strong belief that I carried with me from childhood and I didn't even realize. So that's what I find so fascinating about how you are going to be able to take us on a journey to discovering some of these things that have been holding us back that we didn't maybe even realize. Like, I don't know what that fear of mine was holding me back from, but
Yeah, what a lot of women, a lot of people, even men, what they don't realize when we're children, from the age up to around 5 years old, and there's varying factors of what the age, but basically it's five. We're operating out of our subconscious mind. So we don't have the ability to discern what is fact and what is opinion. So what we're doing is we're absorbing our parents' opinions, judgments, biases, likes, dislikes. And this is not about blame to our parents. It's about awareness to stop the ancestral lineage, the passing down the generational belief system. So as a child, we're absorbing and it's already already molds us. And if we don't have that awareness, we take those into our teenage life, our young adult, and our adulthood. So if they grow up with being criticized all the time, they're going to feel powerless. And emotionally, that leaves such an imprint on their psyche and their heart. If they grow up in a family that perfectionism, then they're not going to want to take risks when they're older, and they're going to struggle with imposter syndrome. And what they don't realize is whose belief are you really operating off of? Is it
Mhm.
yours? Where did it originate? And that's what I help women do is peel back that onion. Because a lot of them, if you're suffering from low self-worth, you've got to figure out where it came from. Who told you that you weren't enough? Who told you you weren't worthy? Who told you you have to earn your worth? You don't have to earn your worth. You're already worthy. But women
Mhm.
believe that they have to do more, to do more, try more, give more. And healing doesn't happen from giving or doing or trying harder. It's about returning to your truth. And a lot of women, they focus on their physical health. I'll exercise, I'll eat right, that's fine. But what they don't realize is their emotional and spiritual health is just as important. Because if you don't heal the deep wounds, the emotions, it manifests into a disease. The late Louise Hay spoke extensively about this, and it scientifically was proven. So, for example, if you have deep-seated anger and you're holding on to that anger because you don't want to forgive because you think it's hurting the person who hurt you, it's hurting you, and that causes breast cancer. It's been proven to cause breast cancer and issues with your liver. So that's why it's important when you're talking about food or you're talking about health, it's not just the food, it's not just the physical, it's everything.
Hmm.
Emotional, spiritual, physical. And that's part of what I talk about. I don't talk about I mentioned Louise Hay in my book, but she did extensive research on that and she actually healed herself. That's how she started on the journey. She had ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow. So
Mhm.
she started with a physical issue and found that it was tied to unresolved emotions
She
from
was
early on.
molested at very young
Mm,
and she ended up getting ovarian cancer. And then that's when she made the correlation. She was very sick.
mm, hmm.
But it's important for women to understand that your emotional well being is as important as your physical.
For sure. For sure. I'm always pushing, let's make sure that our mind's in the right place before we start messing with our food. I actually listened to a fascinating podcast this morning about neuroplasticity and the way that our beliefs are developed as far as the neurobiology
Hmm.
and the connections that we make. And just on part of the podcast was talking about how when um, when parents are Googling for help with parenting, they did this like Google analytics research thing, and they found that parents of boys Google, is my son a genius? More than we see, is my daughter a genius,
Right.
right? And that we see the question, is my daughter fat? More than we see, is my son fat? Or is my son a genius?
But think about the shame in that. Do you know 75% of our girls, our daughters, by the time they're age 17, they're cutting, drinking, smoking, and they have eating disorders? Because society says you can't be fat. Society says you have to be perfect. And so
Hmm.
they're already ashamed of their body and they're wanting to change their looks because of social media, because of our parents, because of whomever. And this is not about blame. It's about shaming your daughter and not teaching her to love her body. There's all different reasons why you gain weight. It could be hormones. It could be a thyroid issue. It could be a number of things. But when you shame your daughter and you're Googling that, and your daughter hears that, how can she learn to love herself?
It's an uphill battle at that
It's an
point.
uphill battle,
And
especially
so
if you're a big
in
girl.
and so on the journey in Courageously Authentic, Um, what are some of the ways that you help people, like maybe take a first step? So, a lot of times it's like we don't grow unless we're faced with something that causes us to grow. And so we have a lot of thoughts and beliefs that maybe are serving us and maybe really aren't serving us. And so, if we pick up Courageously Authentic to start reading it, what are some of the first things that you have the readers think about?
The first thing is I address change and why we fight change so much. And this is an important piece because when we're younger, we want excitement, we want adventure, but when we're older, we want safety. So when we're faced with a change, whether it's a diet, whether it's a health issue that we have to change our diet, then what it does, it activates an old experience or old wound. And depending on what you went through, that creates an emotional trigger. And that emotional trigger then says, oh, no, it's going to be bad. You can't change. So it justifies why it's unwarranted. And
Mhm.
what people don't realize is when you're not aligned with your truth, with your true self, you're operating out of a negative belief system. You're aligned with your ego. And your ego wants to keep you in control. It wants to keep you either the past or the future. The past is your identity. The past is your stories, your victim. The future is just that. It's a future filled with disappointments and expectations because you're always looking for the future. If I lose that 10 pounds, I'll be happy. If I get the promotion, I'll feel worthy. But what what happens is you don't. And so that's when the ego lives on time, not timing. So when you're aligned with your true self and you love yourself, whether you're a little heavy or you're skinny or you've got black hair, green hair, who cares? You're worthy. But when you're aligned with your truth, you're not living from your ego, you're living from your heart. And that's when you're aligned with Christ consciousness. Because Christ consciousness is you're living on timing. So you trust in the timing. You trust there's
Mm.
a reason why you're gaining weight and that you know that you're going to find a solution. So it's all around worth and peeling back those belief systems and figuring out where it originated. Maybe my mother was always very self-conscious about her weight. And even though she was tiny and petite, but she drilled that into our heads. So I
Mhm.
grew up feeling unworthy, like I was never enough. And I was never thin enough, never pretty enough, never smart enough. So that's why I take them on a journey and I do it step by step. And so that I can explain to them why they're feeling the way they're feeling and what's causing it and how to get out of it. Because every time you silence your voice, every time you shrink under conflict because you're supposed to be the good girl or you're not supposed to speak up, you lose a part of yourself. And the day comes, you look in the mirror, you don't even know who is looking back at you, and you wonder what happened. So it's about loving yourself, and that's very hard to do. 82% of our organs, or 85% of the world suffers with low self-esteem.
Mhm.
Where's that coming from? Because if
Yeah.
you didn't have low self-esteem, you'd be okay with how you look.
And where is it coming from? And so when we understand at least, discover, able to see where things may have started from, where do these feelings come from? Then that's like the critical part. Like, what do I do with this? What do
Right.
I do with this information now that I see it? Um, how do I take it?
So what I share with them in the book is it's very easy to stay the victim, right? Because if we choose to heal, we've got to be responsible,
Mm.
right? So what happens is I explain to them is that everything happens to us for a reason. People are in our lives for a reason. They're just part of our soul contract. But when we are stay in the victim mindset, that we wear these ego masks. So depending on the situation, we're like the perfectionist, the controller, the martyr, the victim, the princess. And what I do is I peel all that away and I walk them through how to peel that away so that
Mm.
they can get back to what their truth is. Because it doesn't matter what you look like, how you feel, if you're not aligned with your truth, you're going to feel like crap and you're always going to be questioning. You'll never find your happiness because you're releasing pieces of yourself. So that's what I bring them back to that. Bring them back to who they were born to be. Because God didn't make a mistake. There's 8 billion people in this world, but there's one of you. So you have a purpose. And your message might be something that's one woman, it saves her life, that she resonates with and says, "Oh my gosh, that's me. How do I heal?" And that's why so much thought has gone into Courageously Authentic. It takes them on a complete journey.
That's wonderful. Would you say that the book is more for an older woman who's had more experiences, or do you recommend that young women pick this up and learn a little something before they get down the road too far? I mean, I know it's hard to get adolescents to read things they don't want to read, but and that's when we really have a lot of misunderstanding and misbehavior of dealing with hard things, the cutting and um that and just not understanding how to deal with those feelings. But I almost get the sense that this is for someone who's feeling currently maybe a little lost in life.
Mhm. That's a great question. I actually have had men reach out to me who read my book, and they've gotten a
Mm.
lot of it too.
Okay.
So it's just it meets you where you are on your journey. Not it's not written for adolescents because they haven't had the world experiences yet. But for
Mhm.
young adults and up, they will get something out of it. I have a whole chapter on imposter syndrome where I worked with 3 doctors on that. I have, I talk about frequencies, I talk about contracts, I talk about belief systems, I talk about everything that is would stand in your way from finding your happiness. So yes, it could be for young adults. I am going to write another book, and it's going to be geared toward the young adults because I think we need to get to our children and we need to get to our teenagers before they grow into an adults. This is a big, complicated world,
Yeah.
and it's so hard for children nowadays to be in this world and to feel worthy and to feel accepted with everything that's going on. So why aren't we teaching our children about affirmations? I'm beautiful. I'm resilient. I'm strong. Instead of Googling whether or not my daughter's fat and shaming her. And you wonder,
Yeah, and I think it's only getting harder and harder and harder for the young people to know reality from not. You're
yeah,
talking about knowing your truth. I mean, truth is being so twisted and it's so in their faces all the time. And so, gosh, I
well, look at
would
social
love for you to
media.
write a book like that.
I mean, social media is so filled with fear based messaging
Yeah.
that women need to change to be worthy. They need to strive for perfection. They need to change. They got to look a certain way, feel a certain way, eat a certain way, dress a certain way. It, why? So that, if a child, even if I've worked with clients that they followed the perfect diet, they exercised, but they kept gaining weight. I went through that. I gained a ton of weight, and it was emotional weight. And it wasn't
Hmm.
until I healed that the weight fell off.
Hmm.
So for someone to be shamed because they're overweight, when they don't understand that maybe they are following the diet, maybe they are exercising every day, putting that type of pressure on someone is awful. It's an awful feeling, and no one should do that. And when someone
Yeah.
does
Well,
do that to you, you need to stand up, stand in your truth, speak up.
and that's the fight that I fight, is helping the world understand that bodies come in different sizes and there are reasons for weight gain and excessive weight gain that are out of our control.
Mhm.
And it is not something that a person ought to be blamed for because this is not what they wanted for their life either
Right.
if they're in that situation. And so yes, this is the fight that I fight is the anti-diet movement, and the body positive movement,
Good.
because how can we ask our young people to grow up and be authentic if they're constantly hearing that that's not good enough? That's not
Right.
right. They need to do something to fix that. Finding your authentic truth is something I think takes a little maturity, a little will and want to do that. It's scary, right? But it definitely sounds freeing at the same time too. And I love your story that at 55 you walked away and said, my truth is telling me I need to do something totally
Yeah.
different. So good for you for doing that.
Yeah.
So in that, is there something that you wish that people would either stop doing or start doing?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes, I do. What I wish people would start doing is owning their truth. This world is not about being liked. It's about standing in your authenticity. And what that means is that you stand with your core beliefs that you are worthy, that you are beautiful, that you don't have to accept society's or the world's belief about you. Don't let them anyone define who you are. And sometimes you're going to stand alone. I can't tell you how many times, especially as an executive, where I would not conform. I would not join the tribe, treat people the way they were treating, act the way they were acting, influence different procedures or policies, and I would stand firm. And I stood alone, and they made my life miserable. But what happens when you stand in your authenticity and you believe in yourself and you love yourself, your frequency, your light is going to increase. So the people that are operating under fear, manipulation, control, they won't be able to handle that. It's like sticking your finger in a light socket. So these people are going to be taken out of your life because they fulfilled their purpose. It's not about being a victim. It's about understanding you made a contract with them and they're in your life to teach you something. So when you release them with love and with grace, then the right crowd's going to come in. But so many women shrink under conflict or they silence their voice to keep the peace. And that's not what our world is right now. We need to
Mhm.
stand firm in our authenticity. It is going to be difficult. It's not easy, but what
No.
happens when you do it, you're going to go through a spiritual awakening. In order to go through a spiritual awakening, and women who, I think you're too young, but women who are in their 50s, 45, 50, I had a conversation with a woman today, is you reach a point where nothing matters. Your house, your salary, your job, your position, and you start pulling away from people because you've lost your passion, you've lost your purpose, and you don't know how to get it back.
Mhm.
This is why I wrote Courageous Authentic. I teach them how to get it back.
Excellent.
So it's really important that they learn it because when you're in that space, everything changes. Everything shifts. And not only are you changing your life, you're changing the way you believe about yourself.
A situation where I got to really experience this. So I'll share with you that I was in a bad relationship with an abusive man, and it was no good. Um, and I stuck around and took the sorries and the all changes and all of that. And meanwhile, my self-worth is, being beaten down, right? As I live with this abuse. And I finally got the courage one day to leave.
Good for you.
And I remember saying, well, I need to make sure that I go to some counseling so that I can stay with this resolution that I have. So I really remember feeling like I could change my mind on this again because I'd done it before, right? And so I really wanted the support to stay with that conviction that I had that that really was what was best, was to stay out of that relationship. And so that was one shift that I experienced. But really, the more profound shift was the day that I hung up on him. And it was after I had moved out. It was, a long time after, not a long time, but few months. And he was yelling and being mean. And I said, if you keep talking to me like this, I'm going to hang up. And for so many years before that, I had been afraid of what he would do if I hung up on him. What would he do? He'd leave me. He would be mad at me. He would, that was scary to me. The day that I said that and he just kept going and I hung up, something lifted off of me and
Liberating,
I all of a sudden did not care
right?
anymore. And it felt like this really pivotal moment for me that I found myself and said, that I'm worth more than this. I don't have to put up with this. And from that day forward, it was my slogan was, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you feel that way.
That's great. Was it
Became my new
liberating?
motto. Extremely. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never felt such a freeing feeling as I did then, and I was in my 20s. And nothing is compared to that since. That sense of empowerment of I'm better than this and I can handle it was definitely a pivotal moment for me.
Good. You took your power back.
I took my power back.
You took your power back.
And it feels good. And, so it does take some courage
It
to
takes a
do
lot of
it.
courage.
It takes a
That's
lot of
why I titled my
courage.
book Courageously Authentic.
Yeah, it does take a lot of courage.
Hmm.
Um, but it's so worth it, right? So, you want people to start owning their stuff. This is what I believe and stand up for it.
Yeah.
What do you wish they would stop doing?
I wish they'd stop shrinking.
Stop
Stop
shrinking
listening
away.
to the world. Stop listening to society. Stop, letting people define who they are or what their worth. I want them to stop playing small. They have a purpose. We all have a purpose. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So they need to find their purpose, get their passion back, and believe in themselves. Don't worry about everybody else. Just start with yourself, believe with yourself.
Also a hard thing to do,
It is
right?
hard thing and it's scary. I get it.
It's
I've been
hard
there.
and scary. I'm an
Every
entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've worked for other people before, but it definitely it wasn't in my blood.
I know.
I got to do my own thing. So that's always been my vibe is I'm going to do my own thing, but sometimes it's hard and scary to do my own thing and say that I can do this. So it takes a lot of courage. So thank
Just
you
take one
for
step. It's like one step, one breath. Even if it's something very small that you do, then that's something to be celebrated.
hmm
They can do it. They have the courage. They have everything they need is within them. I just help them pull it out. That's all.
And sometimes it's letting go of something. It's not so much of doing or taking action, but sometimes the action is just letting
Letting
go.
go. Right.
Letting go of it, letting go of what your mom said, letting go of the expectation that you see, letting go of what your friend looks like, because that's not you. Letting go
Right.
of the judgment that you might receive if you do have a bigger body. It's true, you do receive that judgment from the outside world,
Oh
but
yeah.
your message is so powerful in that that's their business. That's
That's
not
their
your
business.
business.
Who
It's
cares?
their business.
Because they're judging based on their fears, their past history, their limitations. It's not you. So that's why I talk about taking your power back is you standing in your authenticity and the heck with the rest. Who cares?
I
And when
love the saying, what other people say about you says
none of
more
your
about
business.
them
It
than
is.
it does you.
It does.
Yeah,
And once you
I love that.
realize that, it's liberating.
Yes. So, can you tell us about the Ho'oponopono healing? But let me
It's
try again.
Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono healing practice.
Yes, I can. The Ho'oponopono healing practice, it's an ancient Hawaiian healing practice that it's believed that if you do it with great responsibility and love, it has profound healing practices. So back in the 1980s, there was a insane ward that housed criminally insane patients.
Mm.
And it was so dangerous that the turnover was ridiculous. It was very high. The nurses would actually walk with their backs against the wall. And so they hired Dr. Hugh Lin to come in to work with the patients. And what he believed that if he cleared his own energy and he used the Ho'oponopono method, that he could heal these criminal insane patients. So he didn't go the traditional route. He didn't meet with them. He didn't go to meetings. He would sit with their file and he would hold it and he would say, I'm sorry. Please
Mhm.
forgive me. Thank you. I love you. He did that for 2 years. And what the I'm sorry means that there's something consciously or unconsciously that's hurting you. Please forgive me means that you're ready to release that emotional pattern that is connected to that pain. Thank you means you're saying you're grateful for the healing. And then I love you is you're realigning with your true self. So he did that for 2 years. And not only did he heal almost all the patients, but they had to close the ward because they were released back into the public. There's only a couple that he couldn't heal that didn't accept the
Wow.
healing. So it's a very powerful, very powerful. Joe Vitale actually studied with Dr. Hu Lin, and he's written several books on it. Just all you gotta do is Google his name. I think one is at zero, and there's some other ones, but it's a very powerful Hawaiian healing practice. I have used it. You can use it for
Mhm.
your body. You can use it for your mind. You can use it for diet. You can use it for anything that's causing you pain or limitations.
One more time, can you run through the 4 one more time?
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Simple
And
but
you just keep
powerful.
saying that over and over and over again.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
You're welcome.
Um, is Courageously Authentic available now?
It it's available globally. It went out global. So it's all over the world. I
Awesome.
know. And you can get it at Amazon and Barnes and Noble is the easiest, but there's other platforms, but those are the two that
The
I
easy
think
one.
most people are familiar with.
Okay. We'll probably put that Amazon link in the show notes. And Brenda, how can people connect with you?
Just on my website, brendahukel.com, and there's no C in
Okay.
my name. It's Hukel.
Okay.
I don't know why everyone wants to put a C in there, but you can just connect with me on my website.
Okay, perfect. I'll put that link in there too. Thanks so much for sharing
Oh, thank
today
you.
and
Yeah,
walking us through. I'm really excited to get my hands on this book and take this journey myself. We all carry around baggage from maybe it's from our moms, maybe it's from boyfriends, exes, whatever it may be, we're all carrying a lot of heavy stuff.
right,
And the older that I get, I notice how that impacts my behavior in this world, how I interact with the world. So it's not just on me and, oh, I have to deal with my headache, but it affects how I interact with the rest of the world. So
right.
I know that I could benefit from this book, and I'm so sure that so many, not just women, but people who are not feeling aligned need to take the journey. So thank you
Yeah,
so much
thank
for
you.
writing
You're
that
welcome.
book.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And thank you for having me
Excellent.
on your podcast. This has been great.
Absolutely.